What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJ's here channel dedicated to Juventus. A big one today. We know we got the Derby d'Italia. It's myself. It is Lex. Lex, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing? Good morning.
Doing good. I'm doing good. I think I'm ready to come for whatever happens, okay? But overall, I feel okay about it. I'm not too up, but I'm definitely not too down or too concerned like many fans are. But I can understand why there are some of those feelings. But how you feeling? You feeling nervous? Are you feeling excited? What are you feeling so far right now before we actually get into the details?
Honestly, I'm very excited for this match. I feel like I just want to forget about the midweek Champions League game. So I'm glad that we had this to look forward to on the weekend, and I'm just ready for anything that happens today.
Yeah, I think that's the way to put it. I'm ready for whatever happens, but of course we're going to get into the details. The news has been all about what Motta is going to do. Are we going to get ready for some more surprises from Motta? Well, the latest projected lineup says yes, we're going to see surprises, some things we maybe wouldn't have expected to be called in such a big match, especially coming off one of the performances that was easily the worst of the season. However, now we start to get some news that maybe clears the air as to why we are seeing these decisions. And of course, we're going to tackle everything that is this latest edition of the Derby d'Italia right now. But first up, we're going to say what's up to everybody in the chat. All right. Love seeing you all in here. Drop a like as you come in. Renato, buongiorno a tutti. How is everyone? Well, focused on this derby, all right. And we've got Ciao from Alex P. This one is going to be an uphill battle. Let's hope the guys put on their big boy pants. Yeah, we're going to need to match them for sure. No respect. We talked about that before. No respect given. We've got to match them and show some fight in this one, all right. And I do remember my words exactly on we had a little playback show on Thursday evening, and I said, you know what, if you're gonna follow it up, let's follow it up with Inter and not some team that's going to allow us 64%, 65% possession and be a slow game. Like, let's get right back to it fighting. However, that said, I would have liked certain people to be in the lineup, and we are going to talk about all this. So number one, we don't have anybody recovered that was missing previously. All right. So nobody has recovered. As far as Nico Gonzalez, Koopmeiners, and who was the third? Louise. All three of them are also expected to miss the midweek match against Parma. Okay. So we're still expected to be out with them for a little bit of time. As far as Milik goes, it is end of December. Now, the big one here was what's been going on with Gatti. And we got this strange report. Like, media is just ridiculous and unbearable sometimes, because yesterday they were trying to paint the picture that there is issues between Gatti and Motta that had kind of crept up, but now the air is cleared, stating that he wasn't happy with not being played in a moment, also not getting in as a substitute, and Motta going with Rui in the match midweek against Stuttgart, and then the captain's armband being taken away from him. Gatti, to me, right out of the gate, I was calling BS on these reports, because he doesn't seem like the guy that, number one, wouldn't be happy for Cambiaso to get the captain's armband and have his moment as well, because all the signs, social media, everything that we see around Gatti and the way the others speak about Gatti, this guy is a team player. So I can't see him being upset about that. The other thing is, we called this on 2 live shows ago, and we said there's something going on there, because Spalletti mentioned Gatti not being called up the last time, because why call somebody up that is dealing with something? And right there we were like, why haven't we heard anything around Juventus news about Gatti? Well, today we finally do. We finally do. And that is that Gatti is dealing with a muscular issue for a few weeks now. Okay? And that is why he hasn't been playing or featuring as much. So there you go. No controversy, nothing like that. This guy's dealing with something. but that does kind of hurt us in the lineup because I think we have been missing him. I think we all can see that. I mean, Danilo, that game against Stuttgart, he got worse and worse. I said it as the game went on. We are expected to see him in today's lineup. Okay? So, we're going to talk about this. Danilo's in the news too. And I knew I was going to have an unpopular opinion because Nico Skira brings us this news that he is going to be gone in a couple months, you know? And I said, if you're not bringing in, and people are focused too much on myself and Danilo, and it's like, no. Separate the player, okay? I know what he's capable of. I don't want him in big games. But offering coverage against weaker teams for guys to rest, Danilo can provide that in a couple spots, okay? He can provide that. I don't want to see him in Champions League matches. I don't need to see him against Inter today, but we're gonna. But when it comes down to it, I said, you absolutely have to bring me a Vice Vlahovic in January, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're looking at two defenders now, and all the news says it's not going to be a loan returnee, Rugani's agent says he's not coming back. Facundo Gonzalez had a weird situation around him in Juventus. It's not expected he's coming back. Jallo, we've heard denials. It's not happening. They're not coming back. So if you're not bringing in anyone you've loaned out, you got to pick up two people. Picking two deals up on loans with no commitment moving forward is slim to none. So you're almost looking at this like, I don't see it happening. But if you want to say goodbye to him, Danilo, in January, I need to see two defenders coming in, not just one. That's my only issue with it. Has nothing to do with Danilo. It's just right now we're thin as it is. We're still thin if you say goodbye to him and bring in one. It's just a swap of a better player, but you're still skinny at the back. That's my only issue with it. Lex, how do you feel about the whole situation around Danilo? Obviously, we know he can't be in there for big games.
Yes, I agree with that. I think there was a comment in here from Matteo Camiso said, Danilo in a back four scares me. And I just thought that was a completely valid point. I think that I agree with you, Berto, that if we're going to keep Danilo, we need to bring we need to bring somebody in January still. However, I do see him, as you said, as a serviceable center back to fill in for us when needed. But I do not really like seeing him in the lineup today. I don't really trust him in that role quite so much. I think the reports on Gatti make much more sense because everyone was asking, where did Gatti go? I got to ask you though, do you think that sometimes they hold back injury reports as like in a strategic way? Is that why do you think we hadn't heard much about Gatti?
I have no idea. So I think the reason we don't is when they're still training. Because as far as I'm concerned, Gatti hasn't missed any training, and that's why you don't hear about it. Because the main media journalists around Juventus are there for the training sessions. So the second they see somebody like leave training or not be a part of the overall group training, that's when you start hearing for it. So as far as I'm concerned, he still must be training. And that's why we haven't really gotten it. But as far as the Italy call-up and everything like that, that's when it really opened my eyes to it. And I thought it was strange because we haven't heard anything of it. But Spalletti's saying so. To me, what probably happened was he was going to get the call. But as a precautionary, they said no. Like Gatti probably said, no, not this time around because I'm dealing with something. And he probably let Spalletti know. And then Spalletti let it out of the bag, right?
Interesting. That would make a lot of sense. I just think also in terms of Danilo, this is his opportunity. Like if there's any moment to try to redeem yourself and make your way back into the lineup and, regain that type of form that we had seen in him last season and the season before, I think that this game would be an opportunity. Do I want it to be proven in this game? Yes, I would love for him to prove us all wrong. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens today if he truly does start.
It's something I've talked about a lot, but it's the feelings, it's the vibes. Danilo's got a lot going on right now, and I think it's starting to overwhelm him. I'm not talking about just Juventus. Like, I'm talking about when he goes to the Brazilian national team and he gets absolutely lambasted almost after every single performance, and that's for months on end now that this has been happening to him. And I think it's starting to take his toll. He gets his minutes cut with us. He loses essentially the armband he does because, I mean, yes, he's still our captain, but if you're a captain, you got to be on the pitch. So I think there's a lot going on around him right now, and he's kind of battling all of this before even thinking about the games and the matches and what's in front of him. Furthermore, the back four, potentially a bit of an issue, but the thing is again, I don't see you bringing in 2 defenders in January. And if you don't do that, for me, he stays until the summer. We've got Cabal, you've got Kalulu, and you have Gatti. I don't want to hear talks about Savona playing at center back because right now I'm struggling with him on the outside over the past few matches. So I don't even want to think about that. Bringing a midfielder in to play at center, I don't even want to think about that because I don't trust those guys. But all of this highlights what I've been talking about a lot lately, and that is that Bremer's affecting us all over the pitch and even further up the pitch. You're slowly starting to see a back line that's starting to look a little more shaky. And why I say Bremer affects you all over the pitch, because one of the best parts about Motta's game that came early in the season and hasn't been there since Leipzig is winning the ball back and defending higher up the pitch. Our D-line has been slowly moving and creeping further and further and further back. That is massive because we were putting our forwards, okay, and our advanced mids, they can all cheat when Bremer's out there. Because you know he's going to win those battles. You're going to get that ball back. You can cheat a little bit as a midfielder, as a forward. That's gone. It's all hands on deck defensively, and they kind of look shaky at the back, no matter who you have out there. But obviously, it is much better with Kalulu and Gatti. However, they're not pushing that line forward like it was when you had Bremer there. So it is, in fact, a bit different. That's just my thoughts. Lex, what do you think?
You know, you raise a really great point. I love what you mentioned about being able to cheat a little bit when you're an attacker that has to drop back to defend. Mainly just because I relate to that so well, just from my own experience in playing. You know, when you have a very strong either defensive midfield or a very strong center back that you can get away with, you know, focusing on the attack a bit more. You don't have to lock down so much defensively. And I just think that's just an excellent analysis of how this has asked everyone in front of our back line to be a little more strict with their defensive shape, to track back a bit more. And the fact that our defensive line has slowly been moving back has definitely affected us as well. I just think that the Bremer injury, it's been very unfortunate for this season. Like we knew it when it happened, but you still kind of held out hope. But it just truly is an impactful loss for us. I feel like that has also been a bit underrated, especially in the last few games, as to how the team has had to adjust, missing essentially the most important piece.
Yeah. And it's just, for me, it's clear that is, in fact, playing such a pivotal part in how we were generating offense or putting those guys offensively in better scenarios. And it has been missing literally since he's been gone. We've been asking, where's the press? Where's that aggression? It's been fading. It's been gone since this guy left. And Alex P's completely right. Cope's absence is, I don't know if he's more impactful, but he is equally as impactful because nobody has played that 10 role anywhere close to Koopmeiners. Nobody has come close to it. That's why I said in this game, you've got nothing to lose with playing Yildiz there. And I would deploy Yildiz there because you've got to try something to turn the tides in terms of the creation. And Trim, who's with us today, obviously, of course, getting ready, I know, to go to the Toronto clubhouse for the grand opening for this Derby d'Italia. But too many slow starts, need to start on time today, and quicker ball movement, absolutely. But Trim said it when Luca from JFTV and myself were talking about Yildiz playing in the 10 role. Trim said a midfielder will probably be what we get. And Trim also said he had this hesitation about deploying Yildiz there because we haven't seen it enough and everything like that. But I don't share that reservation. I think you have to do something. If you're lacking in creation, you know you don't have that force at the back that's going to give you that ability to cheat. Get Yildiz in there. I know that there's concerns about him working defensively in there and the midfield trio of Inter, despite the fact that Çalhanoğlu will not be in there. It's still a formidable three with Zielinski, Barella, and Mkhitaryan. However, he's not, even if he has to rule out the deep line playmaker, it's less work than he has to do out there. And you put a guy that can create in the heart of the pitch, hopefully getting him on the ball a lot more. But Yildiz would have to understand, because when he played second striker last season, he would have to understand he cannot solely drift to the left side because he personally enjoys to cut in. He has to offer that equal balance to right and left. And that didn't really happen when he was second striker for majority of his minutes last season. Well, almost all of his minutes last season. That's where we used him. So something's got to give. But for me, I would, in fact, go that route. Lex, Yildiz at the 10.
I agree with you. I'm part of the group that really loves Yildiz in the 10. And I know Koop's been there and he's been doing very well. And I know there's some people that believe that they see Yildiz as a through and through winger. I really do love him at the 10. So I think that having Koop out is the perfect excuse to put him there and just see what happens. I think that we need that little bit of magic today, and we're going to need that because that's honestly what needs to happen. Yildiz is the type of player that can break games, and I think you need to put him in that threatening area to help us create in the final third. That's what our team's really, truly been struggling with.
Yeah. And you see here, Alex P saying Yildiz isn't having fun on the wing either. Too little support from the fullback. Might as well move him and try to get him to help the team. Exactly. It's exactly that. We've got more questions around Koopmeiners with this injured rib. Do we know when and how Koop injured his rib? Well, it was during the Leipzig match is when he did it. And when it happened, he came out for the next match in league but had to leave at halftime. And we saw immediately the impact of losing him in that match in terms of the creation. RB Comps, by the way, shout out. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, really, really appreciate it. Just trying to get caught up here. And Alex P even asked me because I didn't suffer the same injury. Like I didn't have a fracture. I had a deep bruise in my rib. And Alex P asked me like, how long did it take me to recover? Like, was it this long? He says it seems very long for Koopmeiners. All I know is that I can tell you for like over a month, over 4 weeks, I could feel it when running, like the pain. And that was just a deep bruise, like a fracture. Yeah, I was shocked last season with Locatelli coming back, only missing, I think, 2 games. I think he only missed 2 games, and then he just played and had that big brace on there and everything. So whatever. I was shocked by that. Koopmeiners, I would have thought he made it in for this one. I was always thinking Inter, but yeah, no such luck for us, everybody. No such luck for us. We do have to some storm the barns. I'll quickly fire through some of these, okay? And maybe at the end of the show, we might get into a call-in style, okay, to get hyped up for this game. So stay tuned here. Berto, I love these lives. Would love to be in one. Who's your key man for victory? So if you want to join in, yeah, absolutely. By all means, reach out to us and we'll try to set something up through the DMs, or everyone now has my WhatsApp number. Let's try and make something happen. But key to victory, we are going to get to that when we start to break down lineups and everything and what's going to be the key. We do have some more news. A lot of the news has been around trying to find this Vice Vlahovic for January. Jonathan David. Okay, so Alex Juve comes in here. Jonathan David or Lorenzo Luca. So Jonathan David, and everything I've been saying was highlighted literally on like the daily update video I did 2 days ago, because you have certain media outlets that are still painting this picture that Jonathan David can happen in January. Can't happen in January because of the non-European rule. Okay, so it can't. It physically can't. There used to be the way where you could free up that spot by making a move, and that's what Tuttosport and other journalists were claiming and are still claiming. And I've called some of them out and said, hey, show me this loophole that you know about that makes it that these two non-European spots, like one of them can open up. It can't. Giuntoli's going to approach Jonathan David. Juve will be one of the teams going after Jonathan David for the summer. Lorenzo Luca presents an opportunity in January. The rumored fee is 20 million euros. Udinese is off to a really solid start. Lorenzo Luca is playing really good for them. I don't know if 20 gets the deal done in January, especially if he's going to continue on, the trajectory he's going down this season, and they're going to be higher up than they probably anticipated after battling relegation last season. Okay, I don't know if it's going to happen. But out of the two, I see them completely different. David is the guy that you question whether he can be your number one. Luca, for me, is a solid support player right now with the potential to go higher. But right now, David is on the cusp of somebody that might be a 1A option. Lex, what do you think about these two?
I think Jonathan David is exciting for us as Canadians, of course. So we're going to be in support of that. Also, there's strong rumors that Inter's looking at him. So we could swoop in and, intercept that transfer. I would be happy about that as well. But I do see what you're saying about getting him in January. I agreed with all your points there. Not realistic. In terms of Lorenzo Luca, I just think I need to see more throughout the season to be convinced about having him as a backup. I do think there's some concerns I have in terms of him being serviceable in Motta's system. Is he the profile that we're looking for in a player? I'm not quite sure, right? He's got his height. He's looking to be good in the box. He likes to play traditionally with his back to goal. I just don't know, because we already have concerns when we're speaking about Vlahovic in that sense, when we look at his style of play. So I'm not 100% sure he suits us in that, degree.
Yeah, some have said the Italian Vlahovic, because of seeing a lot of those similarities and sharing that big question mark, will he work for Juventus? But Giuntoli, confirmed by Mirko, confirmed by Nico Schira that we are for sure looking at Lorenzo Luca. So they must feel he fits Motta's system, and Motta has made it very clear, dating back to the summer when we got him and everything, that he has been involved in these player decisions and calls, and Giuntoli's made it clear. So they're looking. They must feel that he fits the system. So we'll see. But Jonathan David, different question mark there, What goes on with Vlahovic will kind of, I think, dictate everything, because is Jonathan David ready to come in and maybe battle for that with him, or is he looking to go to a club and be that 1A option? It's interesting. And then the question mark remains, is Jonathan David ready to be that 1A guy for a bigger club, right? With no disrespect to them, but higher expectations, ambitions, and everything. Hey, it's interesting. All I know is that the price is right for both of these guys. If you're looking at getting a support player like Lorenzo Luca at 20 million euros, that would be fantastic. A free transfer on Jonathan David, keep the salary in check if that happens. Yeah, I'd be down. I would be down for both of these players, okay? I like the links. Now, Forza Juve asks, the back end. Who do you prefer of the linked targets at center back in January? Lex, who do you prefer? We've got Kiwior. We've got Skriniar. Again, non-European defenders being linked in there that cannot come in January, based on everything I can find. Again, unless these media outlets know something I don't. Kiwior, Skriniar. There's rumors of a Dragusin return. Who do you like?
Ooh, I think that's an interesting bunch. I'm gonna have to say probably Kiwior. I think that definitely with that group, see, I'd have to agree with Matt, yes. I think I'd have to pick him out of that group. I definitely think that we need somebody to come in January. It's interesting in hindsight because I know a lot of people were calling for a center back like in the summer, and that was kind of one area of the market we never really got to. And mainly because we had Bremer and the back line that we had, and then now to lose him, now we're kind of scrambling for one. But that's who I would have to go with. I don't know. What do you think, Berto?
Kiwior. And yeah, I'd probably go Kiwior. And then if we're trying to get two, because you want to say goodbye to Danilo, Kiwior, and I would look at, honestly, I don't know why they're so opposed to these loan returns. I would literally bring back one of these guys on a loan return, bring in Kiwior, and move forward if you're ready to finally say goodbye to Danilo. If that's the route you're going to go, bring back one of these guys from loan. Look at a loan with purchase option if that's how you have to get it done in January. But I don't see us going in and committing to two guys in January. So I would do it that route. Dragusin, I'm open to it. I was always fine with his sale because I didn't see him getting the minutes that would benefit him at that time when he was with Juve. I'm open to that. Okay, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Juve does. But all the rumors still suggest one defender, one striker. Let's see what goes down. Another one from Alex Juve. What's Juve's winning record when Lex is in the broadcast? Hopefully undefeated, but I mean, hey, we know how some of these seasons have gone. I think we started putting away the win record a while ago with the last era that we're trying to come out of. So, yeah, let's not worry about it. Let's just hope we can get the fight going. And we got to tackle this game. Shifting focus back to Inter, okay? Let's talk about this one now before we get to the starting lineups and everything. So for Inter, we know where we're at for Juve. It's for all of us to prove, okay? It's for Juve to prove in this one. Inter have only lost one of their last 19 home games in Serie A, okay? They've got consecutive clean sheets now, helping to steady the ship that Inzaghi was concerned about, obviously from early on in the season, sorting things out defensively. So now he's got a couple of clean sheets consecutively to go into this one. There are injury concerns there for them that they're going to navigate, but again, they have the players to do so. We know Augusto suffered a muscle strain midweek, and there's long-term absentee with Çalhanoğlu, and even Acerbi will be on the sidelines. They do have Aslani and Zielinski both recovered, and Zielinski's actually slated to be in there for the lineup today. Before we get to that lineup, we'll show both at the same time with Juventus. Like I was saying with Juve, it's all for Juve to prove. Was that midweek match a one-off? Can we not concede against Inter? Can we force their hand, make it very difficult for them? Can we threaten them offensively? All these question marks are floating around Juve. You've got one project that's at the end almost ready for this last hurrah before they have to maneuver financially. And then you have one that's literally at the very beginning, getting ready to start. And we know which project is which, right? It's for us to prove. Are the injuries just too much for Juve to shake off? We hate making excuses, but it is skinny. And I think this lineup is going to show you that we're probably making moves we don't want to make. I think we can all agree on that. It's going to be interesting. I talked about Bremer, how massive that is, and it's affecting us all over the pitch. There's a lot of feelings around this Juve. Reaction. We want a reaction after what happened midweek. But you also have to be cautious. It's got to be a cautious reaction. Controlled aggression. Smart and effective, against Inter, but never backing down an inch. We can't show too much respect. But tempo, we cannot make it easy for them. We have to be ready. There will be opportunities for us to strike. We can't be hesitant. And right now, the way things are, we might be hesitant because of all those circumstances. Key guys missing, a lack maybe of confidence, or maybe just these doubts that have crept up after getting slapped midweek. We'll see what happens. But Lex, what do you think about all this? What are your thoughts? Like, was midweek a one-off? Like, what are you looking for out of Juventus in this matchup?
I hope that this week was a one-off, definitely.
Yeah.
I had even people that, because we were starting to get a little bit of attention, some mainstream attention again, back in Europe. And people were asking me, this is a Juve team. And then everyone saw the result or watched some of the game this week. And they were like, Lex, what happened to Juve? And I'm like, it's one of those games, right? So I'm just really hoping that that's truly what happened and we can move on to this match. I really liked how you pointed out how delicate the situation in this match is, where you need to go out and you need to win, but you also need to be, as you mentioned, cautious while doing so. I think that there's really high stakes in this game. We need to see everybody locked in. I think that if you had played this game a month ago, you might have seen a very different pregame feeling and maybe even a very different approach. I do think it's important to note that Motta's getting used to playing in Europe and in the league now. And he's dealing with these things that happen where you have injuries to handle, you're missing key guys, you have multiple games to make lineups cover across. And I just think that today is a huge game from everyone, especially for our fullbacks. We know how dangerous Inter is in the wide areas, especially Di Marco, someone that really, really we need to watch out for. So I'm just really interested to see how this group handles it. I think it's a really big test early on for our project and for Motta.
Yeah. While we see must win called by some fans, Alex P saying we need points. That's all it boils down to now. We got to go after it. 1 point is still bad for us. I think what we're going to get out of this game, you guys saw that behind enemy lines, and funny enough, even Anthony from Inter Worldwide kind of felt the same way, but Inzaghi and Motta are not far removed. Just like I said, Motta's not really that far removed from Max. I know a lot of fans don't want to believe it, okay? They're not far removed. I don't see either team really opening up whatsoever and going nuts in this one or going wild. I think both teams are actually going to be somewhat cautious, but Inter will look to control this one. There's a lot saying that if you were Inter, I would sit back and defend, force Juve to try and create, which they've been struggling with, and then hit them on transitions. I don't know if Inter's going to go with that at home. I think they're going to try to control and try to kind of take to us, maybe get the jump on us. But, hey, it's anybody's guess how this goes, but I wouldn't be surprised if you get a rather, safe game out of both of these teams. Let's see. But let's get to these projected lineups, okay? So this is what we're slated to see. And you could see Pavard, De Vrij there, Bastoni. You're going to have Dumfries, Barella, Zielinski, Mkhitaryan, Di Marco with Thuram, Lautaro up top, and obviously Sommer in goal. I'm not so sure that you see Zielinski, who just got back fit, in the middle of the park there. I hope kind of not. And the reason is Fratesi will come in, who is a good player. But it puts Barella at the heart of the midfield, which I'd much rather have him there because he is not as effective in that role And that's where I would like to see Barella play for our side. Now, at Juve, take a look at that, everybody. Now we got to break things down. Di Gregorio, obviously, in goal. There were shouts for Perin there. I don't think it's an issue. Perin or Di Gregorio. We've got 2-1s. I'm fine. Savona, Kalulu, Danilo, Cambiaso. Okay, so right out of the gate, I'm not playing Savona in this game. And I'm not playing him in this game, and I'm not putting him there on DiMarco's side. Immediate no from me. Lex, would you play Savona there?
No, I was going to say immediately looking at this, that is the absolute like glaring red part of our formation. Like that looks like danger.
The second part, Danilo on the left side, if you are going to play him as a center back. Put him on the right side where you always said he's more comfortable if you're going to do so. But then you're looking at Danilo and Savona together on that side. No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm not playing Savona in this one on a couple rocky games going into this one. Yeah, no. And there's been people arguing me saying Savona's better defensively than Cambiaso, whatnot. I don't care. At least Cambiaso has confidence. And I wouldn't say that Savona's that far clear defensively. It's because that's all he does and offers not enough pushback. Sometimes in defending, pushing back helps defend. But I actually had a crazy call on what I would do back there. And it didn't involve Cambiaso. I'll get to that in a bit. Midfield. Locatelli, McKennie, Fagioli in the 10 role. Conceição, Weah, Vlahovic. Yildiz not even in there according to this projection. And we started hearing that yesterday, that not only is Yildiz not going to be the 10, he may not be in the lineup at all. Lex, the first thing this lineup shouts at me is that we are reacting to them for the majority. I know you're stuck at the back because you can't play a center back that's not 100% fit in this game in Gatti. I'll give him the pass on that. But as far as some of these other calls, it is heavily one-sided defensively. That's what I see looking at this, is that we are reacting to them and we're not set up in a manner to play kind of how we want to. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think it does definitely show that. I think that I can see us sitting in a 4-5-1 and definitely setting up in order to try to stop Inter's attacks and just hold back, basically. So, like you said, not ideal. I understand we have injuries. I always like to give them a game, to give them a go. So hopefully we still do that. But from the projected lineup, as you mentioned, it does really look like we're just going to be lining up to adapt to and focus the game on stopping Inter.
Yeah. There's a lot of thoughts here. You've got Wing of Winter saying Savona didn't do any mistakes on their last match, other than sending Stuttgart free and clear on a breakaway that the player had to pull up on, and countless errors on the ball. He made many mistakes. The past 3 matches, he has not looked good, other than decent defensively, and even that was shaky in the past 2 matches. I'm sorry. I'm not putting him in there. I'm not putting him in there in this game. We don't have to write him off completely, but not this game. Cabal shouts for him at center back. Not in this game, because we haven't seen it. And I know it's a pick your poison thing at the back, because Cabal you haven't seen as a center back. Danilo, we've seen it, but definitely not on the left side. I had a wild thing that I would do in this game. Okay. And I'm just going to throw it out there. You guys can all laugh. I don't care. But this is seriously what I would have done. Yildiz for me definitely starts in the 10 role. Okay. And I deploy him there with no fear. We have lacked creation. It has been stagnant. It has been brutal. I would have played him there. At the back, honestly, if you have to go with Danilo, then you have to go with Danilo. Okay. But I have Cabal as the left back. Kalulu, I would have preferred Gatti, but if it's got to be Danilo, it's got to be. At right back, I would have played McKennie there and let him focus on making DeMarco's life miserable and just do that. McKennie's best last season wasn't in the middle of the park. It was as an outside wing back, and he showed he can actually do it. I'd actually play him there, as wild as it sounds, and me not being the biggest, McKennie fan or whatnot, I'd play him in that role. In the midfield, I'd have Locatelli and I'd have Thuram. Thuram playing against his brother should be motively pumped up for this game. I would do that. I would play Locatelli and Thuram there as your pivots. I would have no fear of playing Yildiz there in the 10. Conceição on the right. And actually, to mix it up, Cambiasso, because you haven't heard Cambiasso's name yet, I'd play Cambiasso where Weah is there, up ahead on that left side. Thuram can drive the ball out of the middle on the left side. Cambiasso can maybe be forward a bit and help out there. That's what I would do. And I know it's wild. That's what I would do. Lex, what do you think about Berto's crazy night before Inter match thoughts here?
Honestly, not a bad call. I'm a fan of it. I like it. I like the creativity and your thinking. You're pulling a Conte, dreaming about lineups in the middle of the night. I think that for McKennie, he's so serviceable anywhere in the lineup. And he's really a player that, although there are people that have had their shared criticism about him, he's someone who gets a job done. He's a great player that you can give a role to in a match, and you just know 100% that's what's going to happen. So I think that sticking him on DeMarco and saying, hey, do not let this guy get anything. Do not let him have anything on the pitch. You know for fact if you're putting Wes on that role that that's going to happen. I can see him pocketing him. So I just think that it's interesting. Maybe Motta, wasn't paying attention last year, didn't see that. Maybe he feels like he needs him in the center of the park, because I know that center midfield on Inter is also, extremely strong. It is the foundation of their system as well. So I think maybe he wants him there to break up play and to make sure that they can't hold possession as well. But it's definitely a good call, Berto. I like it.
Yeah, just spitballing, and you got to come up with solutions when there's guys that you don't maybe have the most confidence in. And right now, Savona in this game is not a game I would put him out there in. I can totally understand the counter argument, like you were saying. McKennie could be big in the middle of the pitch with what we're going to see. But does that not feel wasted if you're not going to have Yildiz as your 10? Because if you're going to have a guy like McKennie in there that's known for his work rate, his effort, and grind and everything, and then you're going to top it off with Fagioli that needs to really get reps in as the 10. The last time he played the 10, that we saw him play the 10 role, he was hugging the left flank, the left sideline. He didn't interpret it anything like Koopmeiners that had come off. I don't know if that was directed from Motta or whatnot, but for me, if you're going to have the workhorse in there, you're going to have your defensive kind of balanced guy like Locatelli, you got to have someone that pushes the envelope in the other direction. And no disrespect at all to Fagioli, I would put Yildiz over him in that 10 role, even though we have yet to see it. You have to tip the scale to that side. You can't just have it all perfectly balanced. Right now, it seems a little too lopsided. There is a shout also for Fagioli and Yildiz to both be out there. Fagioli got bossed against Stuttgart, but it also isn't all entirely his fault. So there is something to be said about Fagioli and Yildiz both being in there. But I don't know if I have the guts to go in a midfield that has Locatelli, Fagioli, and then Yildiz ahead of it. Because the last time we saw Locatelli and Fagioli, multiple occasions in a two-man pivot, it didn't look good. Plus, I think if you're going Locatelli, if you're going a two-man pivot, get him as defensive stabilities with that guy that pushes the envelope offensively. Lex, what do you think? the shout for Fagioli and Yildiz together?
I think it's interesting. I think it's just a risk that is not going to be experimented in this type of match. Plain and simple. That's mainly why. I also think that it has to do with your style and your approach to the game. Doesn't sound like Juve is going to be having a possession based approach where they're looking to go in and control the match.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Motta's leaning towards more defensive profiles, ball winning profiles in the midfield, someone who can help stifle Inter's midfield first rather than be the one in possession of the ball. That has all to do with approach, mentality, the fact that we have injuries. I think that's mainly why we won't see something like that.
Yeah. Now, question from Alex. Juve haven't mentioned Chico. Will he be the silent weapon tonight? We know Inter's back three sometimes is weak on the bands. This is the thing. With him playing on that side that DiMarco occupies, there will be space in behind. Okay, Bastoni will probably be the one that gets stretched. And then from there, this is why I say it's got to make sense all the way down the line. Fagioli's not that guy that's going to attack space. Realize space, see it, and then attack it. Vlahovic has to work off of that when Bastoni gets stretched. Yildiz would be the key to finding the space, finding the pockets, making penetrating runs if that space opens up and you don't have him there. But Chico will have his opportunities. How he does with them, we see. But my fear is he may end up trying to do way too much. Way too much based on how this lineup is kind of set up for me. He might get into one of those modes where he's overthinking everything and maybe trying to do so much. But one of his strengths is situationally, for a guy that young, he more often than not makes the right decision and takes his man on when he needs to, but distributes the ball when he has to. Let's see. As far as this reaction we all want from Juve, like I said, we want a reaction, but you got to be cautious. You can't go wild and full throttle against Inter. That makes absolutely zero sense, even though we want a reaction. The reaction I want, okay? The reaction I want is to meet them head on and at least be ready mentally, be prepared, be focused, and battle. 50-50 balls, we were so weak against Stuttgart. Get ready for the fight, get ready, and just meet them. Meet them halfway and head on and go at it and see what happens. We can't just go full throttle and say, oh, we need a reaction. No, you need a reaction, but it's got to be smart and effective. So let's see what we get. We're going to get to key stats. We're going to talk about that early question in Storm of the Barn, which was, who do you see being the key players for Juventus? Key stats, Inter have suffered their most Serie A defeats against Juventus with 87, accounting for 13% of all losses in the league for the Nerazzurri. However, the Bianconeri have only managed 2 wins in the last 6 league meetings between the two teams. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Juve are unbeaten in 6 of their last 7 Serie A matches against Inter, though, when both teams are part of the top 3 positions at the start of the match day. Man, who takes the time to look? Some of these are so random, okay? Inter have won 2 of their last 4 Serie A matches against Juventus at the San Siro, with also a draw and a defeat in there, which actually matches their previous 11 home results against the Bianconeri, okay? Juve are the only unbeaten team, 4 wins, 4 draws after 8 rounds of Serie A, achieving this for the first time since the 2019-20 campaign. Meanwhile, Inter have won 5 of their last 7 league matches with a draw and a loss in there as well. Yeah, it's time, everybody, for the prediction challenge. I do want to talk about one other thing. We always got to pay attention to this, okay? Before we get into predictions, player to watch. Your official for this one is Marco Guida. In Serie A, he carries 5.3 yellows per game average, okay, in 181 matches. He's got 53 reds given in 181 appearances in Serie A. 67 pens dished out in 181 Serie A matches. Safe to say, I think we will get some cards and we could potentially see a PK in this one. We could potentially see some controversy, which would not be unfamiliar territory for the Derby d'Italia, all right? So with all of this now in here, Lex, give me your player to watch and your prediction. Final score, 2 tiebreakers.
My player to watch is going to be McKennie.
Okay.
It really is, because I think that he's come up big for us in matches like these. So watch out for him. Hey, maybe we even see a goal. Maybe he gets forward in one of those moments, and we've seen him do it before. So I think he's definitely my guy to watch this game. I think he is going to be key for us. And he's given the start. He's getting his confidence back, and Motta, you can tell, really trusts him. So McKennie, we need to see that from you today. And in terms of score prediction, I'm going to have to go with, I was thinking about this last night, 2-1 Juve.
There you go, Lex. There you
2-1.
go. I love it. I love it. RB comps, maybe with a little bit of the reverse jinx there. He does that from time to time. 2-1 Inter, sadly.
2 deal breakers?
1-1 from Giratina 70. 0-0. You've got Hackraff here, but nobody cares about his prediction. Inter fan. Juve corner cast 2-1 Juve. Antonio, I think we win 2-1. Wing of Winter 2-0. Jesus. Matt 0-0. 2-1 Juve from Sev. Let's go. Giddy up. Giddy up.
Is there two deal breakers?
2 tiebreakers.
Tiebreakers. Okay, I'm going with 2-1 Juve, goal from McKennie, and a penalty kick. I don't know which team, there's just going to be a penalty kick.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say with old Guida there, Jesus, the numbers are in favor of it. Alex P saying, I don't think we have 2 goals in us. 1-0 Juve. Okay. 3-0. Oh my God, from your lips to the football gods. Come on. Come on. Yeah, sadly, 1-0 for Inter. We're missing too many players. 1-1 from Swarit. Joey, unfortunately, 1-0. Okay. It's funny, you know, I got absolutely roasted, even though I said it was a wild prediction against Stuttgart. I've got a different way that I come up with this one today, okay? But I think it's going to be a tight game, okay? I feel like this is a classic scenario, and I could be completely wrong like I was midweek, okay? But I feel like this is the classic scenario. You have everything against you. You know, you got absolutely manhandled midweek to Stuttgart. You've got key players missing. You're playing away from home. You're playing against one of the favorites to win the trophy. But somehow, some way, I still just feel it's going to be a tight one. And I feel like when everyone expects a game to go a certain way, it ain't going to go that way. And I think we saw that even with Napoli yesterday against Lecce, expecting a comfortable win, and then they got to grind it out. I'm expecting this to be a tight one. If somebody wins it, it is by 1 goal, but I honestly feel it's a 1-1 draw that this game ends in. And I think both managers at this juncture, especially with what's on deck in the schedule, will take that. Ours lightens up. Napoli has a hell of a 5-week stretch coming up for matches. They got themselves a little bit of a gift there with Milan, Bologna getting postponed, and now Teo Hernandez and Reindeers have to serve that suspension in that game conveniently, okay? But they have a tough 5-week stretch. For us, the schedule's been tough right now up until this point. And now, on the backside of this, we could start to go. But I do think it's going to be a tight one, everybody. A tight one. If either team pulls it out, it's a grind. It's by 1 goal. But I think 1-1 draw. I'm going to agree with Lex. There is going to be a big call in this game. Either somebody gets maybe sent off or you get a PK. But something will happen where Guida's involved. Okay? It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I can't believe those stats. That's wild.
It's incredible. It's incredible. But for the goal, I actually think it's going to be... Set pieces have been just atrocious for us. And it just hasn't been working. But I actually think some way we get one from like a set piece. And I'm going to say that it's actually going to be who you least expect. And I'm going to say Danilo gets on a set piece and puts the one in for Juve. I could see this. I could see some weird shit going down today, everybody, okay? And as far as the watch along, in play, everybody, okay? 20 minutes before kickoff. I hope you're all here. Let's get into it and share the live reactions. But we're not done right now, okay? We've got Storm the Barn. Fire away with your Storm the Barn questions. We've kind of tackled this one in everything we feel, everything we expect. It's always this game. And it's funny, I had a discussion with a Juventino midweek and we were talking about it, and it's like, he's the same as me. You always give this benefit of the doubt to Juve that sometimes takes you away from the reality of the situation, you know? Because it's so embedded and just embossed in our brains that Juve will always rise up like in the most adverse situations, to the point that like right now many still hang on to that, and it's like you have no Koopmeiners, you have no Bremer, you know, and you're just like, no, they'll show up, they'll give that fight, you know, we can take this to them and everything. And it's like, it's going to be an uphill battle, like many of us seem to believe here, and are kind of ready for whatever goes down. But we want that fight. You want that showing from Juve. But do you find yourself often leaning that way because of everything that we've been accustomed to, especially that decade of dominance, you know? And for me, it's just historically, Juve's always been that team that fights. That's that thorn in your side, will not go away. And when you think you've maybe got that result, they steal it from you in the last second or something. But do you kind of hang on to that belief coming out of what we just witnessed the last decade?
Yeah, I think I definitely do. I think it definitely plays a big role, being used to that dominance. I mean, it's written in fino alla fine. That's what our club is. That's the foundation of the club. And I think that I definitely hold on to that romantic side. Although things really have changed since that period. The squad's changed considerably. The management, the coaches, a lot has changed. But the beautiful thing about football and about football clubs is that the club remains. So I think that intangible part of a club, that spirit within Juve, I really hope that we maintain that. You know, maybe other fans of teams and other people may want to call it like a little bit of delusion or something about the club and about the state that we've in and where we've been in. But I do really think that that's still something that is, I think it's just a beautiful part of the club. I think that the fact that we have that spirit and we believe in the team still, despite any circumstances, is something that's really important to driving the team. That's just what Juve is. Like, you're just expected this. It's inevitable when you join the team and when the team plays. So I think that that's a standard that you cannot replace.
There you go. There you go. I love that. Absolutely love that answer. We're going to keep it rolling. Some Storm the Barn. I have one that I'll bring up a little bit later too. And Lex will have some time to think of maybe something she has that we haven't discussed. But P-Bug's coming in here. Paolo, are we wearing the yellow kit or the stripes? I believe we're going to wear the stripes, but I don't know as of yet. Okay. RB Comp saying, note on today's show. Hey, it's not done, my friend. I'm sure there's one. the nice thing about the day is it can come out of nowhere. It's like the RKO, baby, okay? Like you could go from none to 5 in a matter of seconds. So, yeah, just stay tuned. Giratina 70. Alberto, how can I contact you? I don't have Twitter, Instagram, and oh my God. So, okay, so we have no Twitter, no Instagram, can't get WhatsApp to work. Oh my goodness. Email. That's going to be the safest. And I'll drop it right here in the comments for you, okay? There you go. Email. That's going to be the easiest. Now, do you think Danilo can rebound? I think he can. Okay, so if I'm going to go with this one in terms of Danilo, look, the drop is there. The concerns are there. I think there's a lot he's got to work through mentally right now that is just going against him. It's going to be an uphill battle. I still think, again, unless you're bringing in 2, he can do a job against the lesser sides and still provide an option. But you also have to work with him. Like, if you're going to put him in while he's struggling, because you have to use him, don't put him on the left side where he actually states he's not comfortable. Like, at least try to meet him halfway and work with him through that. Against Stuttgart, left side. Why? And then today, left side. Why? He is battling it. He's trying to work through it. It ain't going good. So at least try to help him. And if you're thinking, well, we can't go right side because Savona's there, he's going to need Kalulu there, who's been playing great, then don't fucking play Savona, because you have options that can actually play that better than you do for center back. It's a tight one right now. Motta's got some tough calls to make. I don't envy him whatsoever right now with the injuries. I don't. But I have to keep it consistent with him that I did with the other managers, and that's he has to find a way. He has to find a way. Like, I really feel bad for him because I've seen fans and I've had discussions with fans that are like, he needs to figure out a starting 11. I'm like, how do you do that when these guys are taken away from you at every turn? You start off the season, you got Locatelli and Thuram, and he felt comfortable with that. Thuram gets hurt. You've got Nico coming in, getting introduced. He gets hurt. You can't even rest Vlahovic because Milik's gone. You're trying to get Koopmeiners integrated. He goes down with a rib injury. Bremer, gone for the season. It's like, this guy's best 11 is on the shelf. You know? Like, yeah. I got a feel for him somewhat, but it is his job to sort it out. But we're skinny, everybody. We're skinny right now in the lineup. So I do kind of feel for him. You know, Lex?
I agree with that. I think that the lack of depth at striker it's been underrated this season. I really do believe that. I mean, it's honestly Vlahovic or bust right now. We've been running him game in, game out, because that's the only option. And I think that there needs to be also a little healthy competition in that role too. Definitely. We need someone to push him. I think that it also helps when we just need another option. We just need another perspective. So I think honestly, this lack of striker depth really has hurt us this part of the season. And it's something that's not as talked about because, you know, the Milik injury was kind of weird. He got injured, I believe, in the summer, correct? And then we were unsure. He was going to try and come back, and then now he needs surgery, pushed him to a later date. So I think it's kind of crept up on us. But that is definitely something that's tough to work with. And like you said, Motta's got his best 11. And who are the best 11? They can't even play. I mean, your best 11 is whoever's fit, honestly, in that match. You can't play an injured player.
Yeah. I will say, I think there's some things Motta should have tried that he hasn't as of yet, and I'm not sure why. But there's also like a lot of other things I feel. Like if I'm going to criticize Motta, I give him a little bit of leeway because it's tough with these injuries. but he also hasn't tried certain things that he could have. And I think he got a little too loose with the young guys in terms of feeling maybe a little bit of overconfidence in those guys that maybe stopped him from being better prepared for the situation that came. Like, he got way too comfortable with young. Like, Rui got a start, and yes, it was against the lower side, etc. But it was a mess, and he gives so much leash. And I think that's one of the things I'd probably say early on that's standing out to me with Motta. The player in him, I think, is still not far removed. And he's given them a lot of leash, and he's got to be careful that he doesn't hang himself and not the player in that leash. Because there's been a lot given. And Savona might be a prime example of that today. Hopefully not. Hopefully he rewards Motta with what, in my personal belief, is a pretty gutsy call, coming off 3 rough performances from him as an individual, not looking at the team. Let's see what happens. We got some more rolling in here. Lex, who makes the Dybala cross and the Higuain goal, 3-2 last minute on today's game? Who makes the cross? Who scores? That was such a great goal. That goal was insane.
I was just thinking about this game.
That moment, okay, it ties into one of my best moments, which I was going to ask you. What is one of your favorite, Derby d'Italia moments? This is one of many of them. But the story that makes me laugh about this one is I was actually playing in a tournament while this game was happening. And I had a Bluetooth speaker set up to my phone. So my phone was showing the game, and the Bluetooth speaker was blaring so I could hear it while I was on the pitch. Okay? And people were like, what is going on? Like, what is... And I'm like, shut up. Like, Juve's playing. We came off at halftime or something, and it was right around these later moments. I remember like someone telling me, "Oh man, Juve's down," and then all of a sudden it's like level, and I'm like, "Yes," while I'm playing, and then all of a sudden it's like I get back right for that moment. I see the winner, and I lose it on the sideline, and I'm just jacked. I'm losing. I'm like calling my dad. I'm like just flipping out. They're like, "Hey, you got to get back on the pitch." I'm like, "I'll take a sub for a bit here. I still got to like go through this moment." Like, the energy that came through me, it was insane. But I'll always remember that one because I was literally on the sideline of one of my games. But Lex, your favorite, that was my kind of storm the barn, your favorite Derby d'Italia moment.
That's an awesome story. Awesome story, first of all. Like, how cool is that? It definitely sounds like something I would do. It's a great idea. I mean, maybe I should do that today. But anyways, I think that, Alex, thank you for pointing that one out. That was my favorite moment. That was mine. Yeah, that was perfect. Could not have said it any better. I was thinking about that this morning, and missing Dybala, Higuain, what a joy it was to watch the two of them, and just how vital that moment was for the rest of our season, for our win later on to sink Napoli. Like, it just meant so much. So definitely my favorite. And to answer your question about who's sending the cross and who's scoring, I don't know. Let's say a Cambiaso to Vlahovic. There we go. Let's say that today.
Danilo. That's my goal pick today. Set piece. Danilo.
You're right.
So one of my, and I see them come in here. You guys, fire away. Derby d'Italia, we've had many, many good moments. Again, we're responsible for 13% of their defeats, the most in Serie A, 87. There's a lot of moments to choose from there. This particular kit I'm wearing, the Del Piero free kick where he left Julio Cesar standing, planted after coming in as a substitute in typical Del Piero fashion, running with this kit on, and it's just waving around like a big ass black and white flag, and I loved it. He had the hair so long at that time, like it was kind of wild too, and the chops. He had the craziest, filthiest chops with that weird angle. Amazing, okay? Amazing. But Ale gave us another one too. His final season, 2011-12, when he made that nice slip run, the ball got sent into him and you're waiting for it, and he just slides it ever so slowly into the far post in. Um, Amazing. And you could just watch the agony for them as that ball slowly rolls into that far post. That was amazing. Amazing one. Marquisio's goal. That is one of my favorites. Sissoko. Momo Sissoko. Remember the shot. He takes a shot, rebounds out. To this day, that goal was insane from Marquisio. Take the touch on the left, touch back right, and then just pokes it over from in tight. That was a fantastic goal. I can even go further. Zidane. Zidane had like a... This was, yeah, obviously mid-90s. But he had one against Inter where he takes this shot out of nowhere from range, and it's off foot, left foot. The freaking thing just like took this upwards dip and then just curled inside the post. It looked like a nothing shot. And he just buries this one. And the reaction was just huge because it was like nobody expected it or saw it coming. There's a ton. Dybala, remember Dybala's goal where he started out on the wing? Cross went in, comes in, takes a touch, and I think he outsided of the boot with his right foot. Oh, yeah. That was a beauty one too. Del Piero said that was Dybala's probably best goal for Juventus. He said it had everything that you look for, and it was all in one goal. It was like the vision, the touch, the creativity, and then the finish. That was a fantastic one. We've had a ton. Like, there's a ton to pick from. But yeah, I should grow my hair like ADP. Oh my God. The chops too. My hair is way too thick to grow that long. Like, it would be a disaster. But I'm willing to give it a go. I'm willing.
You should do it for Halloween. Go as Del Piero.
Oh, it's way too close. Way too close. And I got to cut not too long. Otherwise, yeah, but maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it. We'll see. But yeah, there's a lot of great moments. Now, speaking of WhatsApp, this is the Derby d'Italia today, okay? So it's we got to get fired up. We're going to put that up there, but it's kind of blocked off, so let me move it over a bit for you, okay? There it is right there, okay? You can text me on WhatsApp right now, okay? Don't call. Text me if you want to actually call into the show with your Storm the Barn. Either a question or a comment. Want to say what's up? Now's a chance. We're going to start looking at doing this a little bit more often too. Playback is a full-on call-in show. The description to this video has the link there. Go join us there. It's going to turn into more of a Serie A preview for the weekend. So Thursday nights, Friday nights, we'll probably be on there one of those nights getting ready. And it's probably going to be, you'll see a lot of Lou. You'll see a lot of Lou on Playback and whatnot. But yeah, it's a good mix. For the watch along today, probably get you guys in at halftime through WhatsApp as well and post-match, okay? But let's keep it rolling. We'll keep it rolling. I'll leave that up for a little bit here. We're losing this game. Okay, thank you, Charles. Always the optimist. Always the optimist. Reason. Danilo starting at center back. I'd rather play a half-fit Gatti for 90 minutes than play Danilo. We're in serious shit with Danilo. Y'all don't even see it. No, we're all concerned about it. I think the last hour and 15 minutes kind of made that clear. But there is no way that you play somebody that isn't 100% fit in this game and risk losing him for a longer stretch. What's more detrimental? Maybe not getting a result still this early in the season, or losing somebody else that's going to be pivotal long term. That's a no-brain decision for me. Lex?
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. You take your lumps. You take your lumps. It is what it is, but there's no way that this one result is going to be the be all end all. And I don't think either manager is going to see it that way. That's why I think tighter game than most expect. But again, I could be completely wrong. We'll see. We'll see. How do you watch Behind Enemy Lines? It's a YouTube short we do. You guys have asked me a bunch, enjoyed it, and said try to do it for every matchup. I've been able to be consistent with that ever since. So yeah, we did one for Stuttgart, did it for Lazio, did it for Inter now. Parma, I need to find a Parma fan. Lex, do you know any Parma fans?
Wow.
I need to find one.
You gotta find somebody. Parma fans, anyone out there? Where you at?
When I struggle to find a fan of a club, I actually have the Calcio community in general, as far as people that create content, is fantastic. So I do actually have coverage there. If I don't find a Parma fan, we have the great Richard Carmen from Serie A Sit Down, okay, which I've had the pleasure of joining them, not as often as I'd like, but they're great, absolutely great. So we've got the guys from Italian Football Podcast, okay, that we can mix it up with. So we'll find people, okay. But Parma, if you know a Parma fan, send them over. It's time for Behind Enemy Lines for midweek. I miss seeing Imbangula and Yildiz at left and 10 respectively. Why haven't they used since the start? It worked like a charm the first 2 games. Well, this is just it. Too many mouths to feed, which is a good problem. But looking for that best 11. If you looked at the roster on paper, would Imbangula be in your best 11? Your starting 11? Probably not, right? His form was good. But you go out and you sign guys that have certain expectations or have financial, burdens on the club and whatnot. It's a priority to see these guys and try to get them integrated in and working, right? Imbangula was great from the start. As far as Weah and Imbangula in this game, I have concerns about both of them. And they're different concerns, but Imbangula, I do agree, was sat way too long. And that's a problem I have with him in this game. But Weah has also just gotten back and looked nowhere close to where I needed him to be up here against Stuttgart when he came into that game. And I still can't figure out why you take Conceição out of that match. The only guy with the sniff of creating anything for you. But I don't. It's a tricky thing. Yildiz at 10 we should have seen for sure sooner with Koopmeiners out. That we all agree on. But Imbangula, how do you feel about that one and him kind of being sat back after the hot start?
It's tough. I think you explained it well. I think that when it comes down to it, there's players you've brought in for a certain reason, players that are costing the club a lot of money, whether it was on the transfer, whether it's on their salary. And I think that sometimes that's why we see those type of players prioritized. I do think that I would have liked to see more from Imbangula. I think he had a really nice start, a really, really special surprise from the start of the season. I think today it would have been nice to see him in there. It would have been a massive risk, but I'm not sure I'm completely sold on Weah over him in the first place. I do think that's possibly a switch that I can see coming later in the game, though. I can see him coming in for Weah. So we'll see what Motta does.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. The other thing too with Imbangula on the left is because it'll be a higher priority to see what we've got out of Yildiz. And while Koopmeiners was around, if Yildiz wants to get in, it had to be on the left, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say Yildiz bangs it out of the park in the 10 role. It's not the be-all, end-all because Koopmeiners can play anywhere in the middle of the park. And that's why I feel like you still have to lean towards trying it. But the thing is, for me, sorry, Lex. The thing is
Go
for
for it.
me, Koopmeiners is so good at pressing and how smart he is further up the pitch that I think he's always going to kind of be ahead of Yildiz in that 10 role until Yildiz gets a lot of time to figure that out because he's so young and situationally he still has to grow. But Koopmeiners was the reason you're not seeing Mbangula because he comes in. We need him to do what he needs to do for all the reasons I said. Big signing, financial burden, etc. He's coming in to be the guy. Yildiz had to be pushed over. What were you about to say, Lex?
Agreed. It's difficult to see the field when Yildiz is playing on the left side. That's a great point. I was going to say, hot take, I really am just completely all in on Yildiz in the 10. I like Coop there. I think he's done a good job, but I am really fully, I'm all in on it. I need to see it. Maybe it's because I love the type of 10 like Yildiz is. That's my like favorite type of player. Maybe that's why, but I'm really, really hoping that this is something that's key for this team and really central to the project. I know we've always discussed it at length. What's the center of the project? What are we building around, building from? I really see it with him there. I really do. So hopefully, Motta, you're listening to this and you try it out.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, the only thing for me is what ends up happening long term. Because with Koopmeiners, do you get the best out of him in taking him and he could play anywhere in the midfield, but is that the best decision? We gotta see. We gotta see. Yildiz, this whole discussion, now you're seeing it in the chat and everything. He's not a winger. He is a winger. He's not a winger. He is a winger. He's fully capable of playing off a wing and has done so for a very long time. He's also played at the 10. He's also played as a center forward. He's played everywhere because he's come from Bayern's academy, went to our Primavera, and was playing anywhere across the top because they wanted to see this kid's stuff. He might be more natural in the 10 role, and that could be a fair assessment. But you still have to see what it does for the rest of the group and how that works out. That's why, for me, the biggest thing is Koopmeiners. Because Koopmeiners is a very smart, effective player. He has to be put in a position to impact games for Juventus. If you achieve this with Yildiz and Koopmeiners, that's perfection. And I think that's what the aim was. Yildiz going out left and then Koopmeiners being in there. Okay? As far as how it works out when Cope gets back, I can't wait to find out because then that means Koopmeiners is finally fucking back and I need this guy back in this lineup, okay? Let's see what happens. But today, everybody, get ready. Get ready for whatever comes. Let's see what Motta conjures up again. I'll pull it up. This is what we're looking at for the latest projection. Di Gregorio, Savona, Kalulu, Danilo, Cambiaso, Locatelli, McKennie, Conceição, Fagioli, Wea, and Vlahovic. If this is in fact how he goes down with it, yes, there are concerns. But you know what? The same as we said about this match earlier, everything is there for Juve to prove. They have to prove themselves in this game. You know, we learn a lot about Motta and this side today, but it doesn't complete the story by any means, and it doesn't write anything off. Di Gregorio said it best. You know, do we learn exactly what happens? No, we don't learn exactly where we end or what we have. He goes, we just keep learning game by game. In saying that, though, my God, would it be lovely to send them a big old fat day, okay, and steal one here, especially in their house. Oh my God. If that happens, I will go absolutely nuts. And I hope that you're all with me for that live watch along today, okay, 20 minutes before kickoff. Lex, always a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I know that you're playing during this Derby d'Italia. Crazy, but best of luck to you in your own game, okay?
Thank you. Yes, I'll be recording it and watching it after. So if you guys don't see me on the timeline, that's why. I'll be coming in late with some takes, but got to do it for this match. And yeah, thank you, Berto. Always a pleasure as well. I had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's always good. We got the post match tomorrow as well, but you guys know this watch along, it's gonna be a spicy one. The big ones, I go crazy for the big ones. So let's see what happens. And Lex, feel free to use my idea with the Bluetooth speaker. Okay, get the game going on the phone there. All right. But how's your actual season before we sign out? How's your season going?
My actual season, it's been okay. It's been okay. Into the playoffs, so we'll see how that goes from there.
There you go. There you go. All right. All right. Let's go. Everybody, do whatever the hell you do for if you're superstitious, okay? Whatever tradition, whatever worked for a victory, make it happen, okay? I was letting the beard go. I had to shave because the Stuttgart game, I was like, this beard's got to go, okay? We got to go. Flat out, okay? So change it up. Do something different. Whatever the hell you got to do, get it done. We're going to reconvene 20 minutes before kickoff. Lex, any superstitions on game day?
Ooh, not really, but I have to be watching at home. I have to
There
be
you go.
watching it on TV. That's it.
There you go. So nothing for Juve. Anything personally? Like what if you're on a heater in your own season? Do you like get dressed the same, like right sock, left sock? Like do you do something in order? Like if you're on fire?
Oh yeah, I have like a whole pre-game that I do. I literally, I'm like the most like it needs to be in that routine. I use the muscle foam roller, and then I go for, and then I put my socks on, and then I put on, yeah, and then I do my hair, and then I go out for a walk to the field, then I do meditation, and then I go back in. That's
There
it.
you go. Look at that. We get the pregame routine, right? From like and always never changes.
Never changes. I have to do that. I cannot, like, if we show up late or something happens, it's very bad. It needs to be that in that order for
There you
me.
go. There you
Yeah.
go. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, let's see. We've got Matt saying always shaves on match day. All right. Oh my God. And family tradition: never eat during the matches. You know what? Usually I can't because I'm so like, well, obviously on a live watch, I'm not going to be eating, okay, and eating in front of all you, okay. But normally, if I watch a game, I usually can't eat because I'm so like just in tune and watching what's going on. Mateo saying wearing my fresh new home kit for the game, change it up. Absolutely love it. And Soiree with the best one of them all, watching AJC, my pre-match ritual. Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Okay, I'm fired up for this one. We will reconvene 20 minutes before kickoff. Can't wait for this one. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. And again, just like the RKO, De Inter. Come on, let's dish one out. Let's go, everybody. Let's go.